Stephen A. Smith just took the soul out of The View.
6 weeks. Seems like 6 years, doesn't it? And he's been going around with his cronies touting his so-called landslide and blowout win. But he won the popular vote by 1.5%, one of the smallest ever. And he won the general election by less than 50%. So what kind of mandate is this really?
Well, it is a mandate, and I'm going to explain why. And I don't mind the question, but let me be very clear. I'm no supporter of Trump. I'm a supporter of truth and the facts. And here's the facts. The man won every swing state. He increased in terms of his voter turnout in his favor from the standpoint of blacks, Latinos, and young voters. He increased his numbers in that regard from 2020. 89% of the counties shifted to the right. That's a mandate. We can sit up there and play around all we want to. In 2020, Trump didn't win the popular vote. He didn't win the electoral college vote. A matter of fact, the Republicans hadn't won the popular vote, if I remember correctly, since 2004. But they did this year. So 20 years after they last won the popular vote, they won the popular vote. They won the electoral college vote. The man won every swing state. And on top of it, 89% of the counties shifted gears. I don't understand how people can look at that and say, there's no mandate. There's a mandate.
Well, it's a different definition of a mandate, I guess.
But the problem is that if you're the Democratic Party and you lost 49.8% to 48.3%, and you're looking at that 1.5% dip, that's an excuse for you to say, what we did really wasn't that bad. We should continue to do that. No, don't continue to do it. Find a new strategy.
All right. So that was fantastic. And then if you didn't see the crazy thing with at like 16 politicians coming out and saying the exact same statement, I'm going to show you that. And I'm going to show you how Stephen A. Smith reacted to it, because he is just like chopping heads right now.
Immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That's what you just heard. Day one of Donald Trump's presidency, prices have gone up, not up. Inflation is getting worse. Not prices. Prices of gas, housing, eggs, essential rent, these are all getting worse. Meanwhile, Donald Trump does nothing. Lower prices. Instead, he's
So all the same words they're using, same words, same catchphrases, like not just one time, like with the vast majority of the things they say. And then they all say the same thing. Then the media blitz runs with it. So that was 90 seconds of them saying the exact same words. It was a little bit difficult to hear, but that's what that was. Them saying the exact same words, like in the recent past, like in the last few days or few weeks. So everybody had a good laugh at that. And Stephen A. Smith, this is what he had to say about it in my opinion, like if you get the true will of the people, he should be the front runner for the Democratic Party right now.
Now you see why Stephen A. Smith was in the polls as a presidential candidate? See what I'm talking about? You see that idiocy right there? You talk about something, people being tone deaf. Why the hell would 22 Democratic senators be literally echoing the same thing and think that would resonate with the American people? All it shows is that the same fabric of our democracy is unchanging in the eyes of some of these officials, and as a result, the constituency they represent, which is why Donald Trump is in office. What, do I have to come up to Capitol Hill and give you lessons? Seriously, you don't get it? All you did, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Chuck Schumer. Let's all get together. Let's put this in a prompter, and all together, albeit in separate rooms, we'll grab a microphone and say the same damn thing. And that's what's going to resonate with the American people. And then you wonder why you're no longer in power. You wonder why Trump is in the White House.
The man has a gift. I think he's full of crap for saying that he is still a Democrat, but I guess he has to say that for his job. I mean, I respect where the priorities are, because I mean, it probably be like a net negative for him to not say it. But you know, you have this phenom of a speaker right here who wants to be a Democrat badly, like is doing everything in his power to not shift over to the Conservative Party, trying to talk sense into Democrats. And I just grabbed this one because I remembered it. I hope that it's the one where it shows what Caravel said. Let's see if it is. I don't. Is it? So this is what Jim Caravel, from the guy who ran Bill Clinton's campaign, and the left treats me like he's some god because they upset George Bush, which really was because of Ross Perot, not because of this guy. But anyway, he started talking shit about Stephen A. Smith, saying that he should mind his own business and stick to sports. Let's see if this shows Jim's side or if it's just Steve's side. We got to show Jim's side too.
Saw the Democratic Party debatably, arguably engage in undemocratic behavior when you ultimately grease.
Yeah, no. So here, let's show Jim's, and then I'll show you this one. Because this is racist, I think. Like, you want to talk about racism and all that crap? Like, this feels like racism.
When it comes to politics, he don't know his ass from a hole in the ground. He's on that running his goddamn mouth about how he may have to run as a Democrat.
By the way, with the toilet paper in the background.
Because there's nothing left of the Democratic Party. There's no talent. Stephen A., are you shitting me? I mean, you say you're friends with Wes Moore and you say you're friends with Josh Shapiro. I'm friends with both of them. I think they're really extraordinary, talented people. I got news for you, dude. There's 6 or 7 other people in the Democratic Party that are just that talented. So before you start running your fucking mouth off about politics, a topic of which you really don't know anything about,
Oh, is that right?
you ought to sit back and think about it and call some people and run it by them. But don't let your political stupidity stand in the way of your outspoken and I think often insightful views when it comes to American sports, of which I think you are an expert at. And if you know Wes and you know Josh, you should call them and run your opinions by them, because I know both of them and they're both smart guys and they're both very ambitious guys. And the last thing that they're thinking is, if I decide that I want to take the next step in American politics, I'm going to be facing some brutal opposition. And they both know that. And they know it deep down and they know it well. So Stephen A., keep up your shit on sports. I enjoy it. I like it, but don't make a fool of yourself anymore.
Wow. That is some nasty, bitter words right there. With a beer in his hand, with his bathroom showing, his bathroom doors open. Like, so that's how, like, that's what losing looks like. This guy was active, I think, wearing like suits and stuff, at least sometimes when there was a chance of Kamala winning. But now he's just in his dungy Louisiana house, like just getting drunk, going on drunken tirades and swearing about this dude who could be a phenom, telling him, hey, shut your mouth, speak to these political handlers right here if you want to voice your opinion. Don't go talking shit and just say words that might make people think things and might take them out of the narrow box of the Democrat Party or how they want to look at things right now, because it's a very carefully controlled and coordinated thing of appointing a candidate. Like their biggest nightmare is to have somebody like Trump, who is a phenom and popular and can just go and get it done without the help and the endorsement of the party. That's somebody like this' biggest fear. They want somebody to be knighted. They want somebody to be elected through the will of the people on their side. Like, I almost think they'd rather lose an election than have an outsider come in and win it without their help. But they can't really do that because of the supermajority. But anyway, let's look at Stephen A. Smith's response to this racist, drunken tirade. Probably loves to talk about racism.
Party debatably, arguably engage in undemocratic behavior when you ultimately grease the skids to make sure he didn't experience a primary, to ultimately send him to that debate stage June 27th and embarrass himself, waited an additional 3 weeks for him to get out of office so you could put Kamala Harris in there without any resistance. I heard you lament that. Well, I lamented it too. I complained about it too. So we have to be as knowledgeable and as informed and as connected as James Carville to have a salient and decent opinion about what the hell is going on with the Democratic Party. That's what it takes. So respectfully, you're wrong.
Mhm.
And you know you're wrong. Now, there's a lot of people that should have listened to you, and they made a mistake by not listening to you. I'm the exact opposite. You were one of the people that I was listening to break down the problems with the Democratic Party. But in that sound that I played for our audience, I noticed that there was a level of inconsistency there. You talked about going to see she should go and interview and sit down with everybody, the Joe Rogans of the world. The list goes on and on. Well, it's funny, sir, Mr. James Carville. I'm reading an article from Newsweek in November. And in that article before the election, you were talking about how you didn't like her strategy, or in the immediate aftermath of the election. I'm sorry. You were lamenting how you didn't like the fact that she was sitting down with everybody. Actually, I think it wasn't before the election. You were talking about how you didn't like the fact that she was going to sit down with Fox News, that she was going to go on The View, and all of this other stuff. You were talking about how you didn't like that. Now you sit back talking about, if I'm a Democrat, I'd be around everybody. I'd go talk to everybody. That ain't what you said months ago. That's not what you said, sir.
So this dude's a star. He's a phenom. He's like one of the greatest speakers ever. And they're trying to spit in his face, which they not that I like Bernie at all whatsoever, but like Bernie should have been the nominee in 2016. Like that was who people actually liked. Like, you walk on a college campus and you ask people who they liked in 2016. They liked Bernie because he said the stupid lie that he was going to erase student debt, because he said, you put 1% tax on Wall Street, you can erase student debt. Okay. But anyway, we'll see how that plays out. It seems like Stephen A is more and more interested in politics, and no matter what he claims, I think he's interested in throwing his hat in the ring. And he's doing it in a smart way where he keeps saying, no, I'm not interested. It's ridiculous that I'm being mentioned for this, but then pointing out the stupidity of the party that he's pretending to support. So good strategy. It's working so far, picking up momentum. I officially opened up the Forbidden Book Society on Monect, on the Circles tab in Monect. So when I read, I say it's like kind of like gold mining, where a lot of the stuff is nonsense. You don't really need to hear it, but then there's just like these nuggets of like craziness within a lot of books, but then specifically books that I usually read. So I've read like 1,000 books over the last 2 years, and just want a place where I could exclusively share this stuff with people who want to know about this stuff, and people who are curious, who want to know how the world works. So I just want to like build a club of sharp, curious people, and that's what we're doing there. So if you are interested in something like that, check out the Forbidden Book Society on Monect Circles.